Good morning, everybody. What a wonderful sunny morning again. Here I am in my front room with the sun shining through the window or outside there. And it looks like a normal day. But here we are. I don't know what day it is of your lockdown, but Terry and I certainly started to be separated from everybody 3 weeks ago. So I wish you well today, and I'm sure your prayers are joined with mine for all those who are in hospital at this time. But we're going with Jesus through the last week of his life, and I was thinking, really, the analogy is he had ridden into Jerusalem on the donkey, declaring that he was the fulfillment for all those who knew the Old Testament of the promises of the coming King. And he is bombarded. We see it as we read the text. He is bombarded with questions from the leaders of the people about all sorts of things. Trying to trip him up, trying to make trouble for him. He's gone into the hornet's nest, really. He's gone right into the heart of the Jewish leaders' home ground. And they are testing him. They are throwing everything at him. And he, in turn, is telling parables which are quite pointedly against them and against those of the Jewish nation who rejected him, particularly the leaders. The parable of the wicked tenants, the parable of the marriage feast. And then they come back with questions about taxes to Caesar, about the resurrection. And then there's this wonderful one I want to stop at, when the Pharisees heard that he'd silenced the Sadducees. There'd been a question about resurrection, and he'd silenced them with his answer. They came back, one of them came back, a lawyer. They're very well, they know how to twist words, lawyers, don't they? They know how to catch you out. And they say, this man says to him, which is the greatest commandment of the law? And Jesus answers him, you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind. This is the great and first commandment. And the second is like it. You shall love your neighbour as yourself. On these two commandments depend all the law and the prophets. That's the heart of our faith, our following of Jesus and of the Father, is to love God with everything that we have, everything we are, all of our strength, all of our mind. It's not an emotion, it's a commitment. The emotion follows. It makes you feel wonderful when you love somebody and you see that love is not only returned, it's overwhelmed, that the love you receive is far more than the love that you give when you love God. And we love him with all our heart, all our soul, all our mind. And the inevitable, we hope, result of that is that we love our neighbour as ourselves. And we inevitably we need to love ourselves so that we can love our neighbours just the same way as we love ourselves. If there is fear around, it is because we're afraid of what might happen to us and to the people we love the most dearly. That's where the fear comes from, isn't it? So we do love ourselves. We fear what might come. We mustn't fear that. We must stand in faith, knowing that God will look after us. And whatever comes, he will be with us. He will carry us through. But this love your neighbour as yourself, what an opportunity we have presented to us by this crisis, that we love our neighbour, that we think of those who are living in their homes alone. We think of those who have less than we have. And one of the members of my little fellowship here at Monk's Yard in Somerset, she sent me a poem yesterday, and I'm going to read it out. It was read out at a Quaker meeting, apparently, and this. Let me just read it to you. May we who are merely inconvenienced remember those whose lives are at stake. May we who have no risk factors remember those most vulnerable. May we who have the luxury of working from home remember those who must choose between preserving their health or making their rent. May we who have the flexibility to care for our children when their schools close remember those who have no options. May we who have to cancel our trips remember those that have no safe place to go. May we who are losing our margin money in the tumult of the economic market remember those who have no margin at all. May we who settle in for a quarantine at home remember those who have no home. As fear grips our country, let us choose love. During this time, when we cannot physically wrap our arms around each other, let us find ways to be the loving embrace of God to our neighbours. Love your neighbour as yourself. Love God with all your heart. If we need to have that as the first thing, that we love God with all our heart. And if we love him, we trust him. We trust him. We can't really love someone if we don't trust them. We love him. We know he loves us. He first loved us. We love him in response. And this whole Easter time demonstrates to us just how greatly the Father loves us and how committed Jesus is to his love for us. We are loved. We are beloved. We are the apple of his eye. And he loves us. And we love him in return. It's a command. Thou shalt love the Lord thy God. We love him because we are committed to him. We choose to love him. And then we choose to love our neighbour. During this time when we cannot physically wrap our arms around each other, let us find ways to be the loving embrace of God to our neighbours. It's a lovely thought for the day. Bye for now.